This product right here could change your videography for the better. And this is the Benro 75mm hi-hat. It is basically a small tripod to help stabilize your footage. In this video, I'm going to be talking about the highs and lows of this product. And I come from someone that always used to shoot handheld, and I tested this out for 2 games, so I'm going to be talking about what went right and what went wrong. Like I mentioned, I come from only shooting handheld. I preach handheld shooting, and I thought I was in the need for a hi-hat, and I'll jump into the reasons on why I decided to get a hi-hat, coming from someone that literally preached. You can go back to my last 2 videos and I talk about how important shooting handheld is. And I feel like I kind of switched to the dark side, and I got something that I didn't really expect or think I would need at the moment. So let's jump into why I got it and why I thought I would benefit from something like this. So I recently shot my first college football game, and it was awesome. I live in Nebraska, and Nebraska football is basically our one pro sport here in Nebraska. This is huge for the state of Nebraska, and so me being able to shoot that was an absolute dream. And what I realized is this is way different than high school sports. I could make a whole separate video if you guys are interested in that, but compared to high school football, the vibes, where you can be, like, there's so much differences compared to high school sports. And one thing that I found out is maybe I need a hi-hat for shooting events like this. One thing that I realized when shooting college football is there are a lot of people on the sidelines taking photos, cheerleaders, fans. They give access to so many people on the sidelines compared to high school sports where it's a little bit more open. College football, or once you get to the higher levels, even towards NFL, like, you're probably more restricted to staying in one spot. High school football, you can kind of run around down the field. If the ball's moving to one side of the field, you can move to that side of the field. College football is a lot tougher to do that, and so I really wasn't moving back and forth through the sidelines that much, and there were times when I would try to follow the ball or track the ball, or follow the play, and the pace of play is so much quicker than high school sports. And tracking the ball, I honestly preach that I'm one of the best trackers there are, and I go to a college football game and I couldn't even find the ball. It gets lost in the crowd sometimes, so that was definitely a challenge, and it made my stuff look more shaky, and I was not proud of how I shot that game. And like I mentioned, there's so many people on the sidelines, so there were times when I needed to shift or pan my body, because like I said, I'm shooting handheld. I would need to pan my body towards where the ball was going, and it was so shaky. People were getting in the way. You can't I stand up most of the time I'm filming high school games. Pretty much I was sitting down the whole game when shooting this college football game, and so it's a lot harder to, like, how I share is I push my rig into my chest and then I twist my whole chest. Well, if I'm sitting down, that's nearly impossible to move from side to side smoothly. And that's where this comes in. I noticed how many people were using this product or a similar product down on the field. This really just guarantees stable or more stable footage compared to shooting handheld, and that way you're not holding your rig for the entire game. But I really want to jump into kind of the lows of what I found when using this product. I used it for 2 games, and I'll let you know if I'm going to be keeping this product, if it's going to be something that I'm going to use later on in the future. The first low is definitely being the weight attached to your entire rig. It makes it almost nearly impossible to follow the ball. I mentioned in a recent video how I always try to stay where the ball is coming towards me, but that makes it really challenging sometimes when there's a quick turnover. If a team is running tempo too, that makes it super difficult to get down the field in time when you're holding this whole rig essentially now. So the mobility is definitely challenging. This is something, if you know you're gonna plan to stay in one spot for quite a bit of time, maybe switch at quarters, I would really recommend this. So for a college football game, if you're focusing on one team, or you want to be on one side, or maybe even just one side of the end zone, but you switch sides of the end zone, you don't actually go to the opposite side of the field, this is actually really good. But for someone that had to cover both teams and cover both sides of the ball, Mobility was definitely tough, and it's very challenging to run down the field. Sometimes that's how it is in football. You have to run down the field to be able to catch up to the play and get a good shot. And this hi-hat made that very difficult, nearly impossible. So that was definitely the downside that I found to it. Another thing, like I mentioned, is tracking the ball. I am really good handheld at predicting where the ball is going to go. With this, it's maybe something that I can get better at, and I think I will get better at, but for the first 2 games that I shot, it was very difficult to track the ball out of the air. It's really easy to see where the ball is going to go and then find the player. I usually like to track the ball instead of finding the player, and maybe that's something, like I said, that I'll learn while using this, but first use case, it was hard to track the ball out of the air. And that's not even something that could draw you away from getting this hi-hat or getting a hi-hat in general. But that's something that I really like to do for some of my videos, is actually follow the ball throughout the air into the catch. And that made it really tough, but definitely something I think I can learn how to do. And I don't think it's really not a selling point to not get this item. Like I think you could still get away with it. So I had another issue, but it really helps if I kind of demonstrate what this is and how you even attach a camera to it. So this is a 75mm bowl. I have a tripod with a 75mm head that comes off. I'm using that tripod right now to film this video, and that comes off and it attaches into here, and then you just tighten through the bottom. Well, if you don't have the right screw or the right tightening mechanism on the bottom here, when you pan, your footage is essentially going to get rotated as you pan. I didn't realize that the first time I shot with this. So I'm going to put a clip on here, but as I am panning, you can slowly see how the camera starts to tilt and rotate, and obviously it's not supposed to do that. It's just supposed to be the smooth pan where everything is level, and it was starting to tilt and rotate. Like I mentioned, if you get any new piece of gear, you're gonna have to work with it and really find a workaround for it, and so that's what I had to do. I figured out what didn't work and what works, and so that I was really scared when I first shot this game, and I was like, dude, is this really what I want to deal with every single game? But came home, figured it out what the issue was, and shot well the next day. So there's just a couple of downsides to it. Most of those might actually be user error and on me, and I take ownership of that because I want to learn to get better with it and continue to grow while using the hi-hat, because I actually think it is super beneficial for a lot of the stuff that I do. Now, let's talk about some of the positives of using a hi-hat and what I actually liked about it. So after I got that little tightening screw figured out, and even for most of the first game when it wasn't fully tightened and what I thought was not great, the footage looked pretty stable. It looks pretty good. You are at a very low angle. I think this is really beneficial for using it in the end zone when the ball is coming at you. It's kind of tough sometimes if you're using it on the sideline and the ball is going down the field, or sometimes even coming at you can get kind of scary, because when you're handheld, you can kind of get your stuff and get out of the way, but this is like a full-on rig almost attached to the ground that you gotta be cautious about. But the footage looks incredible, and I really liked how stable it looks. It looks really good. It looks way better than handheld. I'm really proud of the shots that I got that I was able to track with it. Like I mentioned, the tracking is easily one of the hardest parts of using this product, but the shots that I got is amazing. So here's like another high to it. If you do know you're gonna stay in kind of one spot or one area per quarter and not move around that much, I think it's really good for that. I'm actually shooting another college football game this coming week, and I know that I'm gonna be relatively staying in the same spot for long periods of time, and that is when it's gonna strive, when it's gonna be the absolute best. And so for my case, for this upcoming game, it's going to be really beneficial. And I know that can be kind of confusing, because that was what I threw in my low category, is you kind of have to stay in one spot. But if you know you're going to stay in that one spot, I think it's really good. If you kind of want to move around with the ball, maybe you stick handheld or get a monopod, might be a little bit easier. But if you know you're gonna stay in one spot, I think this is a great product to add to your arsenal. So the end goal of getting a hi-hat is to have stable footage. And did my footage come out stable? Yes. So would it be something that I would use? And the answer is kinda. I think for college football, 100% yes. When I know I'm gonna be staying in one spot, I'm gonna be using it. High school football is a lot harder for me to really decide what I wanna do. If I know that I wanna stay in one spot, like the state championships, when we're gonna have a couple different shooters for this game, and I can kind of be in one spot, 100% it's gonna be a great product to have. But moving along with the ball is really challenging. It's heavy. It's not impossible. I think the only issue is like you're carrying around a pretty hefty rig, and then you have to go and you have to sit down and you have to set up the legs again and you have to get it all ready again, and maybe the turf wasn't balanced in the same exact way that it was when you were on the other side of the field, so now you have to kind of rebalance the head, but really it's not that big of a deal. So yes, I might use this for all of my football games that I cover. I think for sure football would be a great use for it. Soccer would be really good. Track would be really good. I'm not really gonna touch it during the winter sports. I think it's gonna be hard for me to get convinced to use it for any indoor sports because you're gonna have lighter gear when you're shooting these indoor sports. So I think really outdoor sports is where it's gonna strive the most, and where I honestly can't wait to continue to use this. Like I mentioned, I only use this for 2 games. I can't wait to get better with it. I'm gonna for sure use it for all the college football games that I cover. High school football games, it might be a toss-up, literally a 50-50. I'm gonna bring it to every single game, but if I'm not shooting well with it, or I think I'm not gonna do the absolute best with it, then I'm not gonna use it. I'm just gonna be handheld. It was nice not having all that weight that I had to hold the whole time. It's one of those, it's really nice to have, but it comes with some of those downsides that kind of draw me away from it, but at the same time, like, make me want to get better with it. Like, I can't expect my stuff to look top tier right now when this is my 2nd time using it, going on to be 3rd time. I just can't wait to see the stuff that I make with it. I'm really excited just to continue to grow with the product and see how I can improve my videography, because handheld footage, shaky footage really draws the viewer away from it. So if you can keep steady footage, this might be a thing that you look into buying. I should mention, if you guys are interested in this Benro hi-hat, it is down in the description. Click that link and you can purchase one for yourself. So you guys tell me, is this something that you guys personally use, something that you want to use, or does this video draw you away from it? I really don't know the answer, and I want to kind of know your guys' experience too. And if you guys have any insight to tell me, I'd love to hear it. But if you guys did enjoy, I got more videos coming up in the future. Also, check out my recent videos if you guys are interested in shooting more high school football or football in general, and you just don't know where to start. Those videos are a great starting point to get better at videography and really just improve your craft overall. Peace out, guys. Thanks.